Hello everyone, it's Ed with Lokar Fix. Today I'm working on my 57 Chevy Truck LS swap project with the Gen 3 6-liter and a 4L80 trans. I'm just tying up some loose ends under the hood and installing a shifter, which is a little tricky and doesn't quite go as planned. Stick around till the end and see how that all worked out, but it was kind of rough. I'm working on the truck today, and I've made some progress, and I need to make more progress. My pile of boxes is getting smaller. I have the Dakota Digital Dash, I have the sound deadening stuff, I have this shifter. So I'm going to look at this shifter. I also have to figure out somewhere along the line, I have some sort of ideas about what I'm going to do with this breather, but I'm not really sure yet because it's shoehorning a lot of stuff in here. The manifolds are on. Those manifolds I modified. Upper rad hose is done. Steam port is done. I will include a link in the description to what I used for this steam port adapter that goes to the steam port on the head. Wiring is all done except for the cruise control. I keep procrastinating with that and putting that off. I have to do the lower rad hose, which my wife has gone to the store to get. I ordered it yesterday. Of course, you go into a store and you tell them, I need a 18-inch radiator hose, flexible, that's 1.5 inches in diameter, and they say, for what car? And yeah, that's not going to work with a 57 truck with an 05 engine and whatever else. So I got to do that. I ordered a port that goes on the back of this, that goes to the brake booster, goes on the back of the intake, because the 6-liter has power boost brakes. Originally on the truck it was in, that comes off the power steering pump. I need to do my power steering lines. There's a whole pile of stuff to do. The big stuff is in here at this point. I have the cover that goes over that. I've made a piece that goes over the top, but I have to finish making it once I know where the shifter is going to be. The shifter bolts right to the transmission, so I'm going to attempt to install this shifter today and see how that goes. I've got a couple of distractions that are going to happen throughout the day, but I'm going to see if I can make some progress on it. Interesting thing, the instructions, there isn't any. So I thought, you know, you spend $500 or $800 on a shifter, you got to get some instructions. But then I realized they have this thing that I've never seen before, that maybe lots of you guys have, where you click on this thing and it's all online. I've never seen that. So that's what I'm going to do with this guy. This is a Lokar American shifter company shifter that bolts right to the transmission for the 4L80, and has push button in the center of the shift knob, which I haven't unboxed the shift knob yet, so I don't know where that is. Hopefully it's in here. So I'm going to get started on it. I think the first thing I have to do is bolt this to the transmission, but this doesn't bolt directly to the transmission. You have to bolt these guys to the side, I think, and maybe this guy to the back. I'm not sure. I have to look at those instructions and see. My drive-by-wire pedal, I've cleaned it up and painted it. I have to put that back in. It's coming along. It's really coming along. Oh, and thanks to one of my subscribers and now friend, Frank, for hooking me up with this factory original heater setup. I met up with him at his home. He's doing a cool snub-nose Chevy Truck crew cab project that looks like it's going to be pretty impressive. He even gave me a piece of a firewall so I could look and see how this all bolts in. That's going to be a project for another day, or maybe not at all. I'm not sure yet. I have some ideas about modifying my existing heater to make it work, because my big issue is that I don't have defrost. But thanks to Frank for hooking me up with that. Give me a fair deal, and if I don't use it, then I'll pass it along to someone else and give them a fair deal. Okay, I am no further ahead. I did print instructions. I found the instructions. I clicked on that little link, took me to the web page. I looked on the web page, and then I went inside and printed the instructions. And then I got lost again trying to figure out what I'm doing. I had some friends come over and look at a car and talk to me, and I can talk about cars forever. So that took a little bit, but now I'm back into this and I've got a fresh coffee and I'm going to try and figure out what to do. One thing that, there goes my phone. One thing that the instructions say is to mount this to the side of the transmission. And it says I'm supposed to screw it in right here. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but that's just that's a blank hole. There's nothing in it. I thought, well, how the heck am I going to screw this guy here onto that when there's nothing to thread into? But it comes with these little button head things that pop in that hole and expand. So that's kind of cool. So fortunately I had this giant hole in the floor of the truck. And I have my scissor lift, so one of these goes on each side of the transmission. This guy goes along the top. Then there's two little guys that go on the back here. And that's the base for the shifter. The shifter mounts to that. And then there's a threaded rod that goes to the shift linkage itself. And that's kind of it. So let me see how much damage I can do there. I'm going to try and install these things. This is what I'm talking about. Is these little round guys here, they go in those holes and this threads into it. So I was just watching a video. They've got a video on it, on their instructions. I got my radiator hose that I'm going to try. And I'm going to see if I can get something accomplished today. That'd be good. Okay, I'm going to see if I can show you what's going on here. I don't think it actually threads into the transmission. It just sort of clamps it. It's a very odd thing, but I guess that's how it works. So you can see there's this big casting blank here, this round spot. This little plug guy goes in it, just like so. See, and then that's just there. And then this bracket goes on there. Okay, and so that casting thing is there, and then this bracket goes on there, and just this threads in. You can see. And I think it sort of clamps, and then the top piece holds everything together. And then you drop your Allen key, because you're trying to do it with one hand. And so I think that's how that goes. And then the top just holds it together like a clamp. And those two thread-in Allen head screws, they just sort of clamp it like this. Like this. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on because I can't do it with one hand. And then I'll show you what it looks like. And I can put the top piece on. And this might not be that bad to do. Okay, so now these guys here go on the back somehow. Think like this. You have to pull out this bolt that's at the back, and it looks like this. It's a 15 mil wrench, and you install this guy through here. Well, this goes like this. Okay, I more or less have the shifter in. That's in the park position. I can't figure out how to get it out of park. There's a cable inside a cable here that you're supposed to push on the shift button, and that'll pull up this little tab here. I'm just not sure how that works yet. So I think I've got everything where I want it to be. I think that's a good spot for park. I'm guessing from where my seats are supposed to be. But it's kind of either right here, or it has to go like way up here, which it can't because it's going to run into the dash, I'm pretty sure. So I think that's, and then it'll pivot to the drive position about here. I think that's probably going to be where it has to go. This link here has to go on the trans shifter itself. So I have to look at that next. And then there's a rod. This can be clocked whichever way because it's splined. I'm pretty sure anyways. So I have to get the rod going from there to there to actually actuate the transmission, but at least the shifter is installed. So my next step is to put this thing back up in the air and then see what I got to do to attach this, and then run the rod and the little Heim joint things that go between this point and where this is going to mount. And then just go over everything, snug everything up. But I got to do this threaded rod business. I'm not really sure how that's going to go yet, but I guess I'm going to figure it out because I want it to shift. Right now it's multiple shifters because I've still got this one up here. I do have to figure out where I'm going to put that's line lock. I'll have to figure out where I'm going to put that. Maybe I can, I don't know, I'll have to see what it looks like. I could always just put it on this shifter and run the wire down, but as long as it doesn't look lame. I don't really care about line lock, but I guess it's kind of a neat novelty to have. I'm pretty sure that this thing will spin the tires anyways. So I'm pretty sure I don't need to lock it up. It always did with the last engine, and I suspect this one will be a bunch more powerful. But that's not really what I'm going for. I'm looking forward to having more power, but at the same time, I'm going with the LS for road trips and reliability. So I guess I'll crank this thing back up in the air and then have a look underneath and see how I can join this shifter to the transmission and actually be able to put it in gear and stuff. Okay, so I pulled off that nut that held this on and reinstalled this new piece, and it's in park right now. So this is flipped orientation. This was down, so it's in park right now, and then that's low, something, park. I can't really do it very precise with one hand, but the point is that this is fully rotated this way, and that's fully rotated that way, this other shifter. So this is all the way back when the shifter is forward, which would pull this all the way back. And then as you pull the shifter itself back, this rod will go forward. And when it goes forward, this rod here, when it goes forward, then it would in turn push this forward, I guess in theory. So I don't know what to do with this angle change yet, but I have these Heim fittings, adjustable Heim fitting things that should do something. They go on like this, and they can pivot, and their angles, they can make angles and all kinds of things. So that one should go there. So maybe that'll work. I don't know. I'll give that a try. That's how it's supposed to be installed anyway. So if I don't hit my head on this door. So what I was trying to explain is, as I pull, right now that's in park. When I pull this back and this goes forward, that should move that selector forward by a threaded rod that goes in between. So I just have to do some measurements, follow some instructions, which are really lacking. These instructions kind of suck. So it says I'm supposed to measure the distance between the center line of that hole and the center line of that hole, and minus 1 3/4 inches. And I guess that would be to allow for the center of these time pivots, and then install those linkages. And I'll have to make sure that all the wiring's clear, and I might have to just tie wrap some stuff out of the way or whatever. Yeah, and then that should make it shift. I have to figure out how this knob thing works. And then I have a trim bezel and all this crap, and obviously I have to finish the floor. But I guess I'll measure those two holes and subtract 1 3/4 inches, and then I'll cut the threaded rod to the right length, and that can get me to the next step. Okay, I said I'd tell you if there's a problem. There's a problem. So when I look at the instructions, they don't show this plastic box here that's got all the wiring connections. I'm assuming that's for the drive-by-wire thing. So that moves the whole assembly out like 1 inch, and that being out 1 inch is that same inch that you see right here. And this, you can't make that work no matter what you do. This arm needs to be out here, or needs some sort of extension to be able to get a relatively straight throw on the shift. So I'm not sure that maybe they sell a different arm, or there's some sort of, like, I can modify this, but I hate to modify a brand new shifter when maybe they sell a different arm, because this just needs to be like longer. So I'm gonna have to do some Googling and figure out what's going on. Like I said, the instructions are lackluster. This picture here does not show me what I want to see. When I look at the GM4L80 on here, there's no plastic box. So I think likely that's because mine is a drive-by-wire trend. Well, my whole setup is drive-by-wire, so I think that thing might have to do with that. That's a guess. I'm not a complete expert on these by any means. I'm learning more and more all the time, but I think that's what that's about. So it's a computer connection of some sort. I think it has to do with that. Anyways, I have to be able to make this up here. And like, I could just put if I have to, I could notch this guy off here and then just put like a rod across here, like a good 1/4 inch threaded rod with a backing nut or something. I don't know, it's just kind of lame. There's kits for all this stuff. I'm not the first person that's installed this shifter on this transmission, so I'm just going to quit for right now, and so I'm going out for dinner anyway, and yeah, I'll have to do some homework on that tonight and see if I can either order a part to fix it or whatever, but I will pick up the video when I know what that's all about. The other thing I got to do is I got to try my radiator hose, and got a little bit of wiring in here to do. I have to mount this guy, and then another big part of the job that's coming up is this, putting in this the Dakota Digital dash that I have there, the gauge cluster. And then I really need to start, like, what I'm trying to do here is be able to cover this hole so I can do my sound deadening, put my carpet in, get my interior back in. Then things come together really quick. I'm also screwing around with my breather, trying to figure out different ways to fit a breather in here. The stock one I thought would look crappy, but it actually looks pretty good when I have it sort of in there, but it's just trying to get it in there. I like the enclosed breather better than I do an open breather, because the enclosed breather doesn't give that sucking sound every time you hit the throttle. My Malibu has that. It's not terrible, but if I can avoid it, that'd be ideal. Got to do the plugs and wires. I have them. Got to make my heater connections. We're getting near. Okay, I did some Googling and I didn't find anything for that shift extender, like a different arm. What I did find was some better instructions that I printed off that were a little better pictures and a little more detailed. Right from the Lokar site, not from the American shifter site, which is what this is. It's a Lokar, but I don't know what the difference is between American shifter and Lokar. Anyways, it did say that I could bend the threaded rod out around that control box, but I still found it a little awkward. So I got creative with hardware store stuff and got a piece of threaded rod, 1/4-20 threaded rod with these nut couplings. So that's one solid piece of 1/4-20 threaded rod with these 2 couplings on it for like a backing strength. And then I used 2 nylock nuts. And it seems to be pretty robust, other than I haven't tightened it yet. I need to tighten this these jam nuts. But I just finished trying it to make sure everything works. You push down on this and that takes you out of park. I have to trim this cable yet and put the knob on. The base is all on. So far, my easy shifter install was not that easy. I don't know that I'd put this in, like it's a very cool shifter, but I don't know that I'd put this in something other than a situation like this where I have a giant hole in the floor. Because I can't imagine, like my Malibu, for example, with a brand new floor pan, cutting a gaping hole for this to go in. As it is, my pan that I'm going to put here, the factory pan part, I'm going to have to pretty much hollow out the center, reshape another piece, and leave a gaping hole in the middle. So I'm not really sure. Like that's going to be kind of it's fine for this truck, but I don't know that I'd want it in like some original clean thing that's in good shape. So anyways, I'm going to have to contend with that after. But everything is shifting the way it's supposed to shift. It's going through all the gears. I did have a little trouble with that at first, so I had to just undo the rod and pivot the arm on the transmission just to match mark where each gear is, but I'm getting them all now. That's in park now. So I'm going to go ahead and put the shift knob on it because I think that's next. I'm just going to read the instructions again, and then I think it's the shift knob. Okay, so the shifter install is complete. I do have to adjust it though. But that's all I have time for today, so that's what you're going to get. So you push in on the button, and it goes to reverse. I think you're supposed to have to push on it again to go to neutral, and then it pops up for drive, which is what it's supposed to do. And then to go into the lower gears, you push it again, and that's the lowest gear, so that's first, second, third, drive, that popped up, and then neutral, and then you have to push it down to get it in reverse, and then it stays down until you're in park, and then it pops up. So reverse, stays down, neutral, it pops back up. No, it doesn't pop back up, it stays down in neutral, so that's good. Then drive, it ejects. It completely ejects and shoots to the bottom of the truck. That's not supposed to do that. I will put that back on and I'll try this again. Okay, there's a lot of ways to adjust this thing. I have the button back on. I can adjust this so the button's more flush, which I probably have to play with, but that's a lot of fiddling. But it's in park, it locks in park. Push the button, goes in reverse, the thing stays down. Neutral, it stays down. Drive, it pops back up. I have to get that transition from neutral to drive a little better. And then it stays up, I guess, for the lower gears. So that's first, second, third, overdrive, neutral, won't go any further, push it in, reverse, park, it pops back up. So that's roughly working the way it's going to work. I'm going to have to adjust it with a scanner on it to make sure that I have the everything, everything fine-tuned. The park, reverse, neutral, drive thing. The computer needs to know that it's in the right spot too. I had that problem with the Malibu with the B&M ratchet shifter. We had to bring it over to Greg's shop, and he put the scanner on it, and we had to play around to try and get it to make sure it was in drive and stuff. Now it did come with this. This is a reverse lockout, or it's not a reverse lockout. What is it? It's a switch, so that way when it's in gear you don't start it. I'm not using that. Who needs safety? I don't have any provisions for that. I could probably figure it out with the computer, but I'm just not going to start it when it's in gear. My Malibu does the same thing. My manual cars all do the same thing, so I will. It's probably not the safest move, but that's what it's going to be for now anyways. Right now I just needed it to be able to be in its physical location, roughly work, which it does work, works pretty well, and I could play with this all day. And then it needs to be here so I can close in this floor. And then the nice thing about this situation is the floor is going to be removable, this panel, so any adjustments I can do after. I just have to pull the carpet back and stuff. So that's that. So that's my shifter installed. It was a little trickier than I thought. It certainly wasn't straightforward, and the adjustments, they're not straightforward. So I'm still going to have to play with it. I'm still going to have to adjust it and try and go through and make sure that everything's working the way it's supposed to work. I think it's real close, but I kind of can't really tell until I jam a scanner on it and make sure the computer knows which gear it's in, as well as the shifter. It's infinitely adjustable, but you know what they say about things that are adjustable: make things adjustable and someone will adjust it wrong, and I probably have. So I will have it all dialed out before, dialed in, dialed out, whatever you want to call it, before the truck is on the road. But now at least I can make sure it's in park. I know when to put it, I know when it's in gear, and I can get one step closer to firing this thing up. Change in plans. I'm not happy with this shifter. The piece that I added to it for the linkage, I don't really like. Sleeping on it last night and thinking it does need a lot of adjustment, but I'm not getting proper adjustment because I'm getting some angular misalignment from that piece I added to it. Okay, so I made a piece of threaded rod. I didn't make a piece, I bent a piece of threaded rod. You can see it comes out and goes over. I'm going to have to tie wrap these wires down. Shed some light on the subject. You can see it's bent out and offset. So what is supposed to happen, if this is straight on, is you're supposed to measure this and then you're supposed to adjust it so the bolt just fits in and out of the hole nice and easy with no issues at all. So I couldn't do that because with that extension piece that I had, this guy that I made here, which was pretty strong, but it's still, with any little slop in the hole, it allowed for some angular misalignment. So when I was trying to adjust things, it would pull a little bit and tweak. It was just a little too sloppy, so it wasn't working for me. So what I've got to do now is find the right Allen key. And so that's adjusted all the way in at the bottom. And I need to tighten that jam nut. And snug it after, but I just need it sort of flush. And then I need to line this hole up so the bolt just fits in and out of there. I think it's getting close. Looks pretty close. Some slop there too. So that's a little too far. There. Just slides in and out. Perfect. Lock that jam nut in. Both of these, the transmission and the shifter, are in park. I'm happy with the park position for both of them. It's just a matter of snugging this guy up. Snug in my jam nut. Snug this jam nut so I don't knock the camera over. See, now it's got some pivot, which it's supposed to have, but it's not all sloppy. I'm going to snug that up a little bit. There's just a little set screw in there, a grub screw. Tuck this wire down, and then it should shift. That's low gear, so I need to adjust that so it doesn't go so easy. Second, third, drive, that should be neutral, and then it doesn't go up any further. You got to push it in, and it goes into park, or into reverse I should say, and park. The button pops back up. So if you watch the button, reverse, the button stays down. Neutral, not sure if that's supposed to pop back up or not. Maybe I didn't get into neutral. No, it's neutral, but it won't go back up into reverse until you push the button. And then park, it pops out, locks in. Reverse, neutral, drive, third, second, first. So you can see my linkage down here moving. So that already is way better than it was yesterday. There's an adjustment thing that goes in here the side that can control, I think that controls how easily it goes between gears. But I couldn't even think about that with how much slop I had here. So it pays to just have a second look sometimes. So thanks for watching. This one was a little tricky, and I'm still not entirely happy with the results, but it's pretty good, and I think it's good enough to carry on. I'm not sure if I already mentioned it, but I'm gonna have to get the scanner, a good scanner, not just my little scanner that I have, but a proper scanner from my buddy's shop. And when this thing is running, I can, or not even running, but live, I can look on the computer, on the scanner, and adjust the transmission. So that way the transmission computer needs to know which gear it is on the shifter. They have to be aligned. I had that problem with the B&M ratchet shifter on the Malibu, where it was almost all the way right, but it wasn't quite going into overdrive unless you just gave it a little pressure on the shifter, and that was the cable adjustment. And it's one of the reasons I didn't want to go with cable this time. This linkage seems to be just as tricky. Either way, this is a small issue on a big giant project. Thanks for watching. Please check out my other videos. Please consider checking out my video playlist on my Malibu. There's I don't know, 25 or 30 videos of an LS swap on it. It's a lot more involved because the car was a lot more apart. But I didn't have to reinvent the wheel on some things like I had to do on this truck. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing, and talk to you soon.